Ladies and gentlemen, Farm Bureau members, I hope you all realize that based on the caliber of speakers and the guests that are here with us yesterday and today, how important and how influential Farm Bureau is. Our Council of State members and our legislators take time out of their busy schedules to be here with us because they want to see you, and they value your voice. This morning, as I do each year, I have the privilege of delivering an annual report to you. It is always our desire that this whole convention would serve as an annual report of what has happened in Farm Bureau over the past year. Ladies and gentlemen, Farm Bureau members, I can tell you that 2017 was a great year for our organization. At no other time in our history, in the history of Farm Bureau, can we be any prouder of the level of activity of our counties, I see that, of our public policy successes, and the way that the Farm Bureau brand is represented across our great state. Some of the great things that happened in 2017. We reached another membership milestone. North Carolina Farm Bureau will report 551,561 members at the American Farm Bureau Annual Convention in Nashville, Tennessee in January. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a gain of almost 12,000 members in 1 year. We're proud of our growth. We're proud of our growth as one of the fastest, probably the fastest growing farm bureaus in the country. Another milestone that we need to celebrate, and I think it's important that we celebrate milestones. Another milestone to celebrate is 50 years of our R. Flake Shaw Scholarship. This program, we've been giving scholarships for 50 years. This program has made a difference in the lives of over 1,000 students across our state. We view these scholarships as an investment in the future of agriculture and in the future of our communities across North Carolina. The first scholarship that we gave was $100. Today, it's $4,000 for a four-year scholarship. Our leadership development programs, Women, Young Farmers and Ranchers, and LEAD, take leadership and personal growth to the next level within our organization. The future of Farm Bureau, ladies and gentlemen, the future of Farm Bureau looks bright given the enthusiasm and the growth that I've watched occur in our leadership development programs. In 2017, Ag in the Classroom is recognized as a premier educational program across our state. We are in our 5th year of going local grants. This year we also began a new educational sponsorship with the North Carolina Museum of History. Our Ag in the Classroom program continues to support teachers as they educate our students, your children and grandchildren, as they educate our students about where their food and where their fiber comes from. On September the 5th of this year, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue visited with over 200 farm leaders at our offices in Raleigh. This was a historic visit. Never before has a sitting Secretary of Agriculture visited our office to discuss ag policy and issues. Several weeks ago, the Dean mentioned it yesterday, several weeks ago, we drove a stake in the ground on the Centennial campus of NC State University's Centennial campus, symbolizing Farm Bureau's involvement and your investment in the future of the new Plant Sciences facility. Our county leaders, you played a tremendous role in garnering support for this project, which is now coming to fruition. We will continue to work We must continue to work with the North Carolina General Assembly to help supply additional funds to build and equip this public university building. Legislatively, ladies and gentlemen, as Senator Jackson said yesterday, Representative Lewis will probably say today, we have never had a better working relationship with the North Carolina General Assembly and with the governor's office. Now, you know that we may not always agree on every issue, but I can tell you this morning that they always want to hear from you, to hear from Farm Bureau. This is a testimony to the strength of this organization, and it's a testimony to our grassroots leadership. The same is true for our U.S. congressional members. We have a great relationship with all 13 congressional offices and our 2 senatorial offices. Yesterday, you heard from many of our state legislative and congressional leaders on some of the successes and, yes, some of the challenges that are before us. We will hear more this morning. Farm Bureau members, for more than 80 years, our Farm Bureau brand has served as a trusted voice on issues impacting the agriculture community. For more than 80 years. We celebrated it last year. There are many other successes that I could share with you this morning, but 2017, ladies and gentlemen, is almost behind us, and we cannot just rest on our laurels. We must, as an organization, we must be vigilant, and we must look forward to the challenges and to the issues that are ahead of us in 2018. As the largest and the most influential voice for rural North Carolina, now more than ever, ladies and gentlemen, we must not be afraid to take big, bold, and active stands on controversial issues that impact you, that impact the Farm Bureau membership. We must be prepared to stand alone if necessary. Our membership and the agriculture community, expect, that's a big word, expect Farm Bureau to do what is in the best interest of our farmers regardless of the consequences. What are some of these big issues? Immigration. You heard Senator Tillis talk about it yesterday. I've spent, ladies and gentlemen, almost my entire career working on immigration policy at the federal and state level. I address this issue from this podium every year. We desperately need reform at the federal level. House Judiciary Chairman Bob Goodlatte from Virginia has offered a good start on immigration legislation with the introduction of the Agriculture Guest Worker Act of 2017. Our policy, your policy, supports this legislation, this proposed legislation, provided it does not get watered down into an unworkable guest worker program with mandatory E-Verify. This will not help North Carolina farmers. Here in North Carolina, we must continue to work with the North Carolina General Assembly, and this is a big issue. We're going to work on it. We must continue to work with the North Carolina General Assembly on driving privileges and education access for our immigrant population. A second issue is trade. North Carolina agriculture is dependent upon foreign trade. Make no mistake about it. We export 25% of our pork products. 80% of the tobacco that's produced in this state is exported. Foreign trade will be increasingly important as we expand our sweet potato export market. And nationally, ladies and gentlemen, every third row of our major grain crops is exported. We are particularly dependent, you know this, we're particularly dependent upon trade with our neighbors in Canada and Mexico. They are 2 of our top global trading partners. North Carolina Farm Bureau, we make it a point, North Carolina Farm Bureau enjoys a close working relationship with both Canada and Mexico. We have been assured by our federal administration in Washington as it relates to NAFTA reorganization that the rule is going to be do no harm to agriculture. Regardless, this is a topic that we will continue to be closely involved with. Farm Bureau and agriculture have to be involved. Another challenge, we have to be involved in the total discussion of alternative energy. Successful rural economic development for our communities. Successful rural economic development for our communities requires 21st century infrastructure. We need good roads and bridges. We need good widespread broadband connectivity. We need a modern electric grid, and certainly we need access to natural gas. Ladies and gentlemen, farms that rely on propane for curing tobacco, drying sweet potatoes, and heating poultry or swine facilities are at an economic disadvantage to those farms who have access to natural gas. The Atlantic Coast Pipeline is necessary, and it will benefit many farms and businesses in North Carolina. In addition to natural gas, our state has experienced a surge, you've seen it, a surge in the number of solar farms and wind farms. I believe that we have as an organization good policy related to alternative energy that respects private property rights. We are working now, another challenge, working with RMA. We are pushing for changes to improve crop insurance to our tobacco growers while cutting down on fraud and abuse so that we can preserve crop insurance for our tobacco producers for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, we must never be afraid to legally defend legislation that we successfully supported and that in many cases we initiated. Our legal foundation that we support, we have in Farm Bureau, our legal foundation is an important tool in defending legislation that we supported. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I was asked the other day, some time ago, by a group of our auditors, is there anything about your company? Is there anything about your company that keeps you awake at night? And my answer to those auditors was, no, not really, because I know that our company, our insurance company, and our organization are managed by competent, professional people where integrity is the most important part of our culture. But what does keep me awake at night, ladies and gentlemen, is a continuation of this dysfunctional and disruptive healthcare system. Uncertainty and the extreme escalation in premium cost have caused many of our members, tremendous pain, and it's caused tremendous economic hardship. I know this, I get it. We all know that there are aspects of the Affordable Care Act that do benefit people who did not previously have health insurance. But for many of our independent and small businesses, the costs have been devastating. Ladies and gentlemen, Farm Bureau members, for us, for our organization, for Farm Bureau, this discussion, it is not about repeal and replace. It is about repair and rebuild so that the system works for all of our people. Farm Bureau members, thank you. Farm Bureau members, these are just a few of the very difficult yet important issues that we must be prepared and not be afraid, but we must be prepared to meet head on. When Farm Bureau, and I've watched this over the years, when Farm Bureau fails to step forward, agriculture suffers. When Farm Bureau fails to step forward, agriculture suffers. We cannot be afraid to do what is best for our members, and we cannot afford to be complacent when it comes to our advocacy efforts, the services that we provide our members, and you see some of those to my right and left, and we cannot afford to be complacent on our leadership development programs for the future of this organization. We are fortunate, you know that, we are fortunate that we have had Farm Bureau leaders over the last 80 years who are visionary and who believe in being proactive when challenges arise. I thank all of you this morning, our county leaders, for your commitment to promoting Farm Bureau and promoting agriculture in your communities. I thank our board of directors, and many of them are out there. I thank our board of directors for their vision. They're visionary, ladies and gentlemen. You do a great job. For their vision and for their work. They are forward-thinking, and they take the responsibility of guiding our organization seriously. This morning, I also recognize our staff. You see them at this convention. You work with them. You call them. We enjoy a staff that is competent and that is also passionate about protecting the livelihoods of your families and our memberships. It is a privilege for me to work with your staff, and I thank them this morning for the dedication and the professionalism that they exhibit on a daily basis. Let's thank our staff. They do a great job. Personally, as I do each year from this podium, and I know she's in the room somewhere here, I have to thank my wife, Laura, for her unfailing support of me and for her unfailing support of Farm Bureau. She supports me, ladies and gentlemen, day in and day out as I carry out the duties of this position. And I thank you, Laura. Where is she? I see her somewhere out here. As I finish this morning, I want you to think about something. Thomas Paine. Many of you remember Thomas Paine. He's a famous writer. He was a Revolutionary War activist. He wrote all the books Common Sense. Thomas Paine was a true patriot. And Thomas Paine said, if there must be trouble, and think about the times he was in. He said, if there must be trouble, let it be in my day that my children may have peace. Farm Bureau members this morning, I think most of you would agree with me. Let's not be timid to take action now so that future generations of farmers and rural citizens in North Carolina will thrive. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking this opportunity.